Hello and welcome back to the Behind the Fic podcast, a a pod,
Sorry.
a podcast that interviews fanfiction writers. I combined like 5 different words, but that just makes it more fun. I am Fate. I am back. I listened to the last episode and edited it, and I seriously was like, why is Kip doing this better than me? The reason is because she's Kip. So I miss Kip. Anyway, but today I have 2 other fabulous people as fabulous as Kip. What I think you already know Obsidian.
Yeah,
But
I did the
yeah.
second podcast. So
Okay.
I'm back.
You're back. And who else do I have with me?
I'm No Cash Value 5 on AO3 and Almighty Admin on Tumblr.
Cool. I will put those links in the description. Today we're going to be talking about your fic, History Has Its Eyes on You, which is a one-shot. I think it's on Our Game of Our Own, and it's got some other parts, but I didn't read those. I'm so blanking today. Yes, that's what I was gonna say. There is a few themes of like, as far as trigger warning, it's like a little bit of worthlessness and despair. A little bit.
I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't ever really think about that, but sure.
I mean, there was a time in my life where that would trigger me, so I'm just gonna say that.
Sure.
But otherwise, it's oh, I'm not gonna say too much. I'm gonna let this thing for itself. It's good job, right? I've got 2 thumbs up. I have no brain today. This is gonna be an interesting episode. So whenever you're ready, take it away, and then we'll discuss afterwards.
Okay, I've just got a segment to read here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Alright. A structure cut through the fog, a massive building with a steep roof. Not slowing, I trampled up the steps and took refuge inside. There were rows of long benches lined with red fabric. I sat in one and found that it was soft and inviting. Finally sitting still, I looked around the great room. It seemed vaguely familiar, as if it had been described to me in a story years ago. There was a growing sense of importance to this place. I noticed someone sitting in another bench. They were on the other side of the room and much closer to the front, where there was some kind of empty altar. "Hello?" I called. The other man slowly stood and walked back to me. He stood in the aisle while I remained seated. "Why are you frightened?" The old man bore a strong resemblance to my mother and my grandfather, and by extension myself. I frowned, wondering who this lost relative was. Had he appeared to usher me into the afterlife? "You are not dead," he said, somewhat sternly. "We should iron that out first." "I'm not?" "No," he grumbled. "Does that upset you?" I looked around, the panic rising again. Then, where am I? A smile wormed its way onto his face, and he put a hand on my shoulder. "Son, do you know who you are yet?" I cleared my throat, trying to calm down. "I'm Link, a good name," he declared, pulling me to my feet. Together, we slowly started to walk toward the altar. I could see there was a room behind it, some even bigger sanctum. Many people have that name. It's nothing special, common, really. "But you're named after the hero of legend." "Yes, but, sir, so many people are," I chuckled. "How can it be? Are you saying the deeds of past heroes are common?" I balked. "No, of course not." "Good." Together, we stepped past the altar and into the room beyond. It was barren, decorated only with giant windows that let in the silver light and ornate carvings on the walls. "Sir," I asked, my words echoing throughout the chamber, "if I'm not dead, then am I dreaming?" "Have you ever asked that question in a dream before?" We stopped in the center of the empty room. "No, I suppose I haven't. So then, where am I?" The man gave me a lingering look before turning his attention to the greater room. Trying to be patient, I too took interest in the carved walls. I couldn't read, but I could tell words were elaborately chiseled into the stone. Funny how they always expect us to know how to read. "Excuse me?" He cleared his throat, then nodded to himself before turning his attention to me. It was different now, focused, like an archer. "I shouldn't be wasting words. We have business." "We do?" "Yes, there's no easy way to make you understand, but you continue the heroic line of Hyrule. You hold the Triforce of Courage, and you are being called to use it." "Courage?" I was wallowing in a patch of dirt, smelling my own burnt hair last I knew. I was a terrified farm boy, worthless to Hyrule. I can't be, I said, the tears controlling me once again. I was gasping, stumbling, trying to remember what had driven me away from home. I'm nothing like the hero of legend. The man caught me in his arms just as my knees failed. He held me while I sobbed, and the pain of loneliness was gone. Footsteps started to echo within the chamber, and many hands started to touch my shoulders. When I took my face out of the old man's shoulder, I yelped. A mass of people was moving, morphing through the chamber. There were no doors, aside from the one we'd entered through, so I wasn't sure where they were all coming from or going to. Many of them were men, but there were women as well. Most were old, but many ages were represented, even children. Some of them smiled, some of them seemed anxious. Many had blank expressions, and a few were even crying. All of them held great wisdom behind their eyes, and all of them resembled my mother's family. I found myself able to stand again at the old man's nudging. Bewildered, I started to reach out for them on all sides, but they were beyond my control. The crowd thinned and eventually slipped into the cracks of the room. 3 of them stayed behind. Somehow I knew they were important. Link, the old man said, addressing me. Those were your ancestors. They've all risen before as the hero of Hyrule.
Is that you're done?
I'm done.
Yes, good job. Okay, sorry. So the entire fic is gonna be, you can access it via a link in the description. The entire one shot, and then the one shot also has connections to other works that are written by, of course, no cash value. But right now we're going to be discussing the entirety of the work that's titled History Has Its Eyes on You, which I'm pretty sure is a reference to the musical Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I saw that animatic a year or so ago, and it was interesting, and it's a very powerful part of that musical. I don't know if any of my followers are musical theater buffs. If you are, let me know. But I think that the music of Hamilton contributes to a lot of relatable things as far as making your mark and being part of history, and of course that also connects to Link and stuff. So I guess I'll start rambling. Oh, stop. I'll stop rambling. I'm not going to start rambling again. That's not what we're supposed to do. I'm going to start with one of my questions, and we'll just kind of go back and forth between me and Obsidian. I love the idea that even a hero needs encouragement and saving. Did you go into this fic wanting to explore Link's insecurities and vulnerabilities?
The funny thing about this story is that I wrote it in one sitting that was about 4 hours long. So I really didn't have that much forethought, I guess. I really did. I saw that animatic. For people who don't know, there was an animatic that I kind of based this fic off of, and I definitely reference it. But I that's all I had really was this animatic that I was kind of vaguely going off of. And it was just a story that I had to get on the page. I didn't think that far ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds like my process. And many others. Obsidian, do you have a question?
Yeah. So the 4 heroes that you chose to talk to this iteration of Link was the hero of Legends, the hero of Twilight, the hero of Winds, and then the hero of Time. Was there any significance in each of these heroes for why you chose them?
So I actually kind of wrote this story before I'd played a lot of Zelda titles. So I was kind of going off of what I'd already played and felt like I could write accurately, which is kind of funny because I hadn't played Twilight Princess at the time, and I still put Twilight in there. But I'd played Link's Awakening, which is why I changed the name to Hero of Covalent instead of Hero of Legend. And then I chose Hero of Winds because I've played Wind Waker, and then obviously played Ocarina of Time too. So that's why I chose who I did. yeah.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Yeah, I really like that detail of I prefer Hero of Koholint because that's the ending of that game. It just seems like something that Link would say, just like to keep that memory of Koholint alive.
Yeah.
It's a really nice detail that you put in there.
Yeah, Link's Awakening was my first Zelda game by a long shot, so it definitely holds a special place in my heart.
Very cool. My next
Never actually
question.
played that game, so I was a
never-
little confused at that name.
Right. Yeah. Well, now you know.
Yeah.
You should play it. It's on the Switch.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it is. I would like to say it's not $60, but it might be.
I
Oh,
don't remember.
Considering I just bought Skyward Sword, I'm gonna have
yeah.
to wait a while.
Maybe take some time on Skyward Sword and then jump on over Link's Awakening. Skyward Sword's better, but Link's Awakening's good too. I'm very biased towards Skyward Sword. Anyway, next question. You demonstrated a sense of unconditional familial love from the past Links to the new Link. Do you see the mentorship relationship in this as a found family archetype, or is the lineage of heroes and their support more of a given?
Ugh, man, I don't know. um,
That might have been
I
confusing.
well, no, I think I understand what you're saying. I would probably lean toward like it's an automatic given kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like you're, and I also kind of went with the idea that they're all blood related, which maybe isn't
Right.
super realistic, but that's just what I did. Um,
Fair.
uh, and because of that, like kind of implied blood relation. I wouldn't say that they're all blood related, but because of that, I would say that they're all family, so they all want to support each other because of that.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't really say it's a found family sort of thing, but it is a surprise, I think, because you don't
Yeah, to that Link.
the idea is that you don't know that you have the Triforce of Courage or whatever,
Right.
and then you find out that, oh, I have this like massive support system that I have access to.
Right.
So I guess that answers the question.
It does. Yeah. Well, because that's a common thing with found family is like you coming into this love and support, but if you put it that way, then it's coming into a family you didn't know you had a little bit.
Yeah, so it's kind of both, I guess.
Yeah, which is cool. Obsidian.
My second question kind of got answered already.
Oh,
There's also a part of it that didn't. When during the first encounter where the four heroes are talking to the current iteration of Link, the hero of Twilight says, "Some of us lead calm lives. That way, those of us who lose everything can know some comfort. They're just as heroic, for they're the ones who save the ones that save Hyrule." Can you add or give us some more detail on what you meant by that?
Oh, well, my thought process was that, well, we know that the canonical timeline for Zelda is like incomprehensibly long, and so you've got to think that there's more stories in there that aren't even mentioned in the canon games,
mhm.
which you if you follow that, then you think that, okay, so there are more stories here, but not all of them are really worthy of being told in a big game or something. So it could be a very simple, very placid, I guess, story slash event that an incarnation of the Triforce of Courage and everyone surrounding them would go through, and so they have that calm memory, that calm life that they're able to pass on to people like the Hero of Time that have really wild lives that don't have any like you know stability or anything like that. The more dangerous type. It's a I don't know what I'm trying to say, but does that kind of explain it better for you?
It made sense to me.
Okay.
So,
Um,
like, guessing that all of the Links have this similar experience as the current iteration, it sort of helps them like have someone that they can lean on
Well,
that isn't as traumatized as they are, I guess.
Well, I think that because later on in the story, that the narrating Link starts to remember things that other Links have remembered. So the idea is that everybody's memories become everybody's memories in this like confined circuit system, I guess, of Links. And so you can have the experiences of a really traumatic life like the Hero of Time, but you can also have the experiences of a really like calm life that doesn't even hardly get marked down in the history books because it's so like unimportant. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. My brain could be broken, but it made sense to me. My brain is broken. Um,
I think it made sense.
okay. Even though it's soft, it somehow is broken. Okay. I don't know how brains work. If I did, I would be able to write better. And uh get a real job. Anyway. Um working on it. I applied. It's just with COVID, they're just like, we don't know yet, and I'm like, cool. That's fun. Anyway. I really liked the line that said your courage is yours now. Do you feel like each Link in the series takes their goddess given courage and makes it their own?
Well, yeah, I think so because each Link. I mean, I guess you have different games that have the same Link in them, but they're each
Mhm.
their own unique person and everything.
Yeah.
And I mean the whole like when he spoilers I guess, but when the Hero of Time like I don't know how to explain it. Like he's kind of smashes the narrating Link's hand through the Master Sword's blade.
Right.
That I in my mind that kind of like truly activated it. Like he had it, but in a lot of the games you see that they do have this like born ability, but they have to like activate it somehow for some reason. And that was kind of part of that, I guess.
Right.
Did that answer the question? I kind of forgot the question.
It did. My question was like, if you think that each Link takes the goddess given courage and makes it their own, like they are their own unique, not unique people, but like they have they manifest that courage in their own ways and kind of I don't even know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I already said it, but like
Yeah.
they're all unique individuals. And then
Yeah.
I also introduced the concept of like there's a period of time which would be the time of gameplay where they're on their active like mission
Mhm.
or whatever, but then they're
Yeah.
released from that at the end, but they still have their experiences, they still have the experiences of
Right.
all the other links and they still have that like courage ability, I guess. It really the Triforce powers are kind of vague, but they still have that at least to some extent. Um, so they have that once their adventure is over to make it their own. So yes, I guess the
I
answer
like
is
how you
yes.
phrased that rush of adventure where it's like you're not going to be constantly in battle anymore,
Yeah,
but it's still going to be a part of you.
yeah.
Um, that was something to think about. It's really interesting. Sorry, I kind of talked over you there. I do that. I hate it.
Um, my third question was if you had to, or if you got to put more detail into this Link's adventure, or if you did, and it was in one of the other parts that we didn't read, what was the height of that hero's journey?
Oh, um,
That's a good question.
that is a good question, and I don't think it has an answer.
Oh,
Well, I
it's
can
too good.
well, no, I can explain because so this story for those that don't know that are listening, it's the beginning of sort of a series of loosely connected stories, and they're not meant to be like super connected. They're just connected by like concept, I guess. It's kind of hard to explain shortly. But another kind of point of this series is that I really only explore a part of each main character's story, and I don't really even think about what the rest of their adventure is like. And that's just how this series is supposed to go. So I don't have an answer for your question because I literally haven't thought about it.
So it's purposefully vague.
It is purposely vague, and I think that's interesting.
There's a place for it.
Yeah. It's also meant to like leave it up to the reader's imagination too.
Yeah.
Like the gaps in this series of stories are meant to be reader filled if the reader wants to. The reader doesn't even have to. So that's kind of the answer to your question. It's like you can figure out the rest of this Link's adventure if you want to, but you don't have to.
And I think that echoes the Zelda series as a whole, because that's what Nintendo tries to do too.
Right.
Yeah, so that's good on your part that you created something
Sorry, my
that
dogs are barking.
really feels what?
And said, I'm sorry that my dogs are barking if you hear it.
We can't hear it at all.
No.
Okay.
But it's nice to know that there are dogs around. They want to be part of the podcast. All I was saying was that it's... Oh, I don't remember what I was saying. That it's, you created something that's a lot like the franchise that it came from, which is a given, but, like, at the same time, it's, special. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah, this series of fics is definitely unique, and I don't even pretend to understand them completely. They just happen as they happen, I guess.
That's fair.
So
I don't understand my work either. I just put it out there and people like it somehow. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, I have one more question and then we'll hop over to the Tumblr question. Well, my computer screen like blacked out because it was an activity. I'm like, no, I'm still using this. At the end, you allude to a prince who holds a part of the Triforce. Is it the Triforce of Wisdom? And where did the decision come to subvert the princess expectation?
as far as what part of the Triforce is, I don't know. I think it's probably the Triforce of Wisdom in that case. But if you look at other parts of the series, that may not be the case. But it doesn't really matter, I don't think. And I'm always down for switching out the princess for a prince. I don't.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's that.
It was just interesting to me.
I wrote a note under all of my questions that is like a bunch of underlines, and it says, "I love the nod to the subversion of the gender roles usually applied to the hero and the holder of the Triforce of Wisdom."
I did when I wrote this, I did think about trying to make Link's gender more vague, but it just didn't really work out that way. But I still like when all of Link's ancestors are going through, I mentioned that there were women in there too. So there you go.
I want that Zelda game. I'm
right.
Like, who are these women? Yeah, and I think another thing with that, I liked that you had the prior Links encouraging this Link to live his life,
Yeah.
Find a hobby, and it's I like the imagination along with that, what he could do.
He's one of the lucky ones that didn't die,
Right, yeah.
So he has the freedom and the ability to live his life afterward.
Right.
So,
which also works nicely with how you started the fic, because you started the one shot with him not really wanting death, but kind of just like he was in despair, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what to use. That's a word I used earlier, and I think that's nice that he started it out not really seeing the value in staying alive and missing his family, and at the end, he has this overwhelming amount of love and support, and which is telling him you have so much to your future, don't be afraid of it, kind of a thing. And I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
Of a message. I don't know. Maybe I'm making too much out of it, but that's what I got from it.
It's a perfectly fun thing to get from it.
I thought it was very sweet.
Yeah. Very, very good job. Just one more question from Anonymous. The little circle dude with sunglasses. And this is to all three of us, so all three of us can answer individually. What scene out of all their fics is their favorite? Which did they have the most fun writing? Which one hurt the most? And we'll start with our guest.
To think of that in the context of literally everything I've written is way too much. So I think that I'll just stick to this story that we've been talking about. The thing that stands out the most to me from the whole fic is the scene where or that paragraph, I guess, where all of the ancestral links are running through the Temple of Time.
Mhm.
And I just think that the imagery behind that is really, like, I don't know. I don't have a good word to describe it.
Powerful? I don't know.
Yes, yeah, that's a good word for it.
Yeah, that was there's a lot of symbolism in this work that you wrote, so I believe that. Of course I believe that. What about you, Obsidian? And things you've written?
I'm trying to think about it because, like, I don't have a whole lot of fanfic to go off of right now, just because I haven't like been publishing for longer than a few months. I think out of what I have published on my AO3, one of my favorite scenes was from Collision Course, and it's kind of where the fic is named that, but it's also not. Link is it's a modern AU, and Link is walking through a parking lot with headphones in. He does not hear Zelda's car. Zelda does not see him because he's walking between two cars, and she hits him with her car.
I think I've read this one.
Yeah, she saw him at the last second and slammed on her brakes. And Rivali, who was her passenger, was not wearing a seatbelt, and he ended up in the floorboard. And that's probably why it's my favorite, because I love torturing that freaking bird.
Yes! Yes! Let's... He's such a... Okay. There's a curse on here, so I'm gonna say... Not gonna say what a such he is. But he's such a something. Such a piece of something. Okay.
He's a
yeah. I probably bully Raleigh too much.
He deserves it.
He does. But I don't know. Because I'm working on a collab fic with Pastels and Orothian, where it's like pre-calamity, but we're detailing the champion's death. Not detailing, but like we're writing the scenes about them, and I was in charge of the Raleigh one, and I almost felt bad. I was like, oh, you mean he's dead? Oh, okay, that's a little sad. As far as the question goes, I have a lot of things that I've written. My favorite is A Moment Beyond, which is post Skyward Sword, and I will love it till the end of time, and I keep advertising it because I love it so much. So that was also the most fun writing because it came the easiest. Oddly, it's my longest, but it's just like I don't know, things kind of clicked into place in an odd way. Which one hurt the most? There are a couple scenes in A Moment Beyond which hurt. It's angsty in places. It's very long. Let's see. I'm trying to give a specific one. Let's talk slower, and maybe I'll think. Oh, I know. I don't want to spoil anything, but kind of in the middle, something happens to Zelda, and it's very sad, but I did it very well. I liked the tension in it. I liked how the relationships changed a little bit, and if you're listening to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, read it and then talk to me about it because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But yeah, you'll know when you get there. That's so vague. That's the vaguest thing I could have said. The vaguest way I could have answered that question. I don't want to spoil it. But yeah,
Fic
that's
is
my
it?
answer. What?
What's the fic title?
Oh yeah, A Moment Beyond. It's
Gotcha.
I'll link it down there, I guess. It's really long. It's 75 chapters.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I guess
It's
I'll be
insane.
putting that one on my Kindle for later.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, okay. This was fun. It always seems like it flies by and then 45 minutes have passed. I don't know.
Has this one been that long?
Or maybe it's been like 40 or 35. Probably 35 because I came in late, but yeah. Is there anything else we want to say? Skyward Sword comes out today. I'll do some news. Okay, this is a news
What's the
podcast now.
game out today?
Skyward
I've
Sword
been playing
HD
it since
comes out
midnight.
today. It's $60 on the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, it's a very good game. I played it in 2011, so I'm not purchasing it because I could load it up on my Wii right now. But very good game to anyone who has not played it. Motion controls are. I've always been a yes. Stop complaining. Very good story. Very good dungeons. The Imprisoned is something, but you'll get past it. I promise. There are better things ahead. Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out in 2022. That's news. When did this become a news podcast? I don't know. I don't know what else is happening. Anything else to add?
No, I don't think so.
I think
Okay.
so.
Then we'll say goodbye for now to the beautiful listeners.